That's your interest. How did you get interested in this field? You have become a scholar in this field. So share with us, how did you get interested in this?
Well, I think my earliest foray into leadership was whenever I was a kid, when I was in the Boy Scouts of America, and you have to learn leadership and learn how to motivate others to accomplish tasks. And I think that was the beginning of it. And then, of course, when I went into the Army, as you can imagine, there's a certain amount of leadership that's exhibited there. And I was enlisted for the first 4 years, but then got out and got a degree and a commission and went back in as an officer. And certainly as an officer, the government invests and the Army invests a large amount of money into every officer, teaching them leadership and enhancing their leadership ability. And it was through that part of my life that I began to realize that the serving of others is important, that service piece, and it wasn't until my master's degree when I ran into the work of a gentleman named Robert Greenleaf, and he wrote a book called Servant Leadership, and many people now have heard of it. What they may not know is that essay was actually based upon a book by Hermann Hesse called Journey to the East. And in Journey to the East, there is a group of travelers, for lack of a better word, going across the East, and the group is very dysfunctional until a gentleman joins the group. Actually, he wasn't a gentleman, he was a servant to the group. He was the guy who navigated and got water and did the most menial of tasks. But he did the tasks that were necessary for the group's existence and survival and their movement on the journey. Well, eventually he leaves the group, and the group breaks up because they no longer have a leader. And one of the people in the book goes on to a monastery and finds the monks there, and he says to them in kind of a haughty way, "I want to talk to your leader." And of course, who is there? Who is the leader of the monastery but the very servant that was on the trip? That work was the kernel for servant leadership, and that's reading that book. A light bulb went off in my head from my time in the Army. Many people won't believe this, but in the Army, servant leadership has been encouraged for, well, certainly all of my career, and I would guess probably 50 years. So,
share with us some of those key principles in servant leadership.
Well, the first thing would be, as you can imagine, a sense of selfless service, both to the organization and to the people around you. In fact, in my book, I label that kind of care and compassion using an old koine or common Greek term called filial love. It is different from agape in the sense that filial love, you must have a relationship or know the person that you are loving, whereas in agape love you don't have to know the person. And of course, all of us know about eros or erotic love, and certainly in that relationship you know the person, but that's a very different kind of love. So that's the first thing that you have to have, is a sense of filial love or care and compassion.